The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Right before going on air, I spit in Eric's face just to see what would happen. He didn't hit me.
I held him back and then walked him down outside.
I have a really good left jab, though.
I'm thankful that you didn't use it. Welcome to Ball In, Ball Out, everybody. It's fight night on the episode. Oh, my God.
2 games in.
2 games in, and we got actual fists in faces. We have
actual punches landed. No one lands a punch in an NBA fight. It's never been seen before.
Only in practice. Bobby Portis.
That's right. Practice.
So when we got our 4 vets, Lance, JaVale, Beasley, and Rondo, we knew things were going to get crazy.
That's right.
We knew they were a liability.
That's right.
But did we think it would get this level crazy 2 games in?
No, the craziest thing is that Lance Stevenson broke up the fight.
Yeah, Peacemaker Lance.
He was Peacemaker. I mean, the whole world is flipped on its head. I don't know what.
For anyone who's sitting in a cave, want you go bit by bit what happened in this fight.
Well, we probably all saw different camera angles of what actually happened.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I do think that it's important to get some context for this, in that there seems to have been about 14 years of bad blood brewing between Chris Paul and Rajon Rondo.
Or between Chris Paul and everybody. And Rajon Rondo and everybody.
That's right.
So then when they both got in...
I thought it was funny, like, if you guys watched the ESPN guys after the game, they were, like, Michelle Beadle was like, this is crazy, right? And they're all like, yeah, not really. Like, it's Chauncey Billups and Jalen Rose and Paul Pierce, and they basically all were like, this was coming at some point.
You just didn't think game 2.
They just needed someone to light the match.
It was only crazy because we don't come to expect people in the NBA to fight anymore. It's that hold me back culture, but no one's actually fighting.
Yeah. It was the first ever non-hold me back fight.
It was crazy.
Rondo was there for... I learned a lot of phrases through Black and NBA Twitter, which this was really the combination of those 2 streams, Black Twitter and NBA Twitter, which are both things.
I didn't learn much. I mean, do we want to do a segment on that? I feel
No. I'm just saying there was a lot of talk about like not being here for the smoke, or being here for the smoke, which is a term that I learned.
Yeah, what is it? What does that mean?
Means like Rondo was here for the smoke, meaning like don't with Rondo, and like Brandon Ingram was here for the smoke, and Chris Paul was not here. You should probably just like mark down a lot of F-bombs on this one.
Oh, don't worry, I've got the notepad document open. Can I want to lament what happened to me personally on the last one. I was so thrilled. It was like me sending my sons out to do a podcast on the last one. You gentlemen,
yeah, we actually successfully recorded.
You guys did the podcast. You did the whole thing. You recorded it. I went through, I listened to it, and tried to pull out all the swear words, and the power went out here in my house on like minute 57 out of 70. And so I'm sitting there like in my chair like, is this the episode where we just like take the curtain down? And
yeah, why not?
But I went through and I redid it. And it was awesome. Congratulations to you, fine gentlemen.
We're so proud that we recorded.
It was wonderful.
Eric gets full credit.
I'm not a total idiot.
No.
Okay.
Eric did it.
Okay. To the fight.
By the way, we are Eli Bauman, Dr. Eric Noble, and Dan Vespers.
Yes.
The Hoop Ball Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Ball in, ball out.
I'm going with the fight doctor on this
yeah, Verdi
this
Pacheco.
podcast.
Verdi Pacheco.
Yeah. My moniker for this episode is Fight Dr. Noble.
So this had been brewing. Then in the whole game, the game was like secretly chippy. I didn't really notice fully during it that it seemed like a fight was going on. But when I thought back on it, I was like, there was a lot of pushing. First of all, this Rockets team is really annoying.
Eli, wait. Hold on. You didn't see this coming. Eli called that this fight was going to happen. So
I called in the first quarter. I said to Eric, I feel like Rondo and Chris Paul are going to get in a fight.
So we had our...
Apropos of nothing.
We had our annual McDonald's first game,
That's
home
right.
game of the year.
A tradition.
So we were feeling gross. It was like the first quarter. There were a few spats between Rondo and Chris Paul leading up to it. There was a few in the first half. And Eli said, I think its fight's going to break out between these two guys.
Very prescient.
And a real one really did.
A real one. Now, I did not think that Brandon Ingram would be the match to light the fire. That was the surprising part of all of this. I think, as Dan was kind of alluding to, Rondo has a reputation as an irritant. That is not surprising. I think, and Eric and I actually randomly both have insider knowledge, and we don't need to reveal our sources, but this is a rare, like we had both been told by separate people who know things about the NBA deeply that Chris Paul is despised by players in the league.
Yeah.
He is like absolutely hated. I think that started to kind of trickle out. But I thought it was interesting that the media narrative immediately, and I think unfortunately it's kind of borne true, but immediately it was like Chris Paul said he got spit on. Like Chris Paul couldn't have possibly been the problem of this. It must be Rondo. Whereas like the player reaction was almost universally against Chris Paul and in support of Rondo, which I thought was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like no players other than Carmelo, his teammate and Banana Boat friend, and LeBron, his opponent and Banana Boat friend, came to Chris Paul's defense. Not a soul.
And yet, he did get spit on.
He did get spit on. So he did get spit on. He did get spit on. The Zapruder film revealed there was a second shooter.
This is amazing that we can have that level of technology to hone in
Unreal.
on whether saliva is coming out of a man's mouth. And
We can do
too.
nothing for global warming.
but spit.
Yeah.
It
was subtle.
It was real subtle.
Yeah.
There was no like lip pursing.
No,
it wasn't
good.
It wasn't a full poo.
So are we sure this just wasn't like a firm exhalation?
I don't know that we know for sure.
Because I mean, there is.
I don't think we can ever really know.
This wasn't just like a wet sigh.
Well, I thought
That's
he had
a great
good
name for
he
a
had
team,
good,
by
yeah.
the way, or like a cover
Or
band.
like a weird cover band
Yeah.
of Psy, the Korean guy.
Yeah, this wet sigh.
I mean, he had a plausible excuse, which was that he had his mouth guard in. I was like, oh, that's good. That's airtight. That's airtight, man. Like the jury is acquitted. But, yeah, upon further inspection, it definitely looked like he purposely tried to do it. He was very talented.
Like there was
that's like a real skill.
Yeah, there was some neck extension, which gives away like that there was effort behind it.
There was
But-
intent.
But it
propel it
was
forward.
really talented to have it like that sly and subtle.
Yeah.
We have likened Rondo to a velociraptor
Right.
on this, and this
This is more like a different dinosaur.
I was going to say
Yes.
he's the one that flipped its
that's,
thing.
you guys called exactly where I was going. This is that Jurassic Park moment where Newman
Yeah, Newman.
Yeah, Dennis Nedry.
Wayne Knight, who lived across the street from my parents.
gets lost in the storm and confronts what seems like a cute little dinosaur who
Yeah.
also looks like Rondo.
That's true.
And then he flaps out his like whatever,
Yeah.
and spits
Got him.
His plumage.
Nailed him.
his plumage and spits. This was Rondo's
The
that
gunk.
moment.
Yeah, it was the gunk in Dennis Nedry's eye.
It was great. And a legit punch landed. Never happens. Straight left. I loved that Floyd Mayweather was in the front row going crazy because it had more action than a Floyd Mayweather fight.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely true.
And
That's true.
in Chris Paul's credit, he also landed a couple of shots. But I mean, the Rondo punch was the punch heard around the world. And then the Brandon Ingram Dalsim from Street Fighter 2 reach, extendo, Stretch Armstrong, go gadget punch was also spectacular.
I mean, I have a lot of questions. Question number one on Rondo is, do you think he had like a bunch of words that start with P or B just ready to go so that he could get the spit going?
Oh, interesting.
Like make it part of normal trash
Like,
talk?
hey, Chris
Paul, you're
Yeah.
you're a punk, Paul.
Yeah.
And question number two is, what the hell was Ingram doing?
He lost it.
He totally lost his mind.
I
he
loved
got in
it.
James Harden's way and then just saw red for like 90 seconds.
I mean, it is really annoying to have to guard James Harden. It is
yeah,
impossible.
but you
and
gotta
it is
know
annoying.
you're going to get weird fouls called on you.
I think he flipped out.
Yeah, I think this
Fight doctor?
So this is the question: is why was Ingram so upset? And I
Right.
think it's a multifactorial answer. I think
Ooh.
the big point to me is
Eli enjoyed that.
Look at the big brain on Brett.
There you go. The fight doctor bringing in big words. I think it's because he cares and he's ultra competitive, which I love that's revealed about Brandon Ingram.
You
Yeah.
know who else seemed to love it?
Coos.
Damian Lillard,
Oh.
who tweeted something like, "You know who's got your back for real, for real." Someone look up the
Oh,
exact-
yeah.
That felt like an Ingram, like he was lauding him, right?
Right.
For like going in and
Kuz
just
said it. McGee said it. McGee had a quote that was great. It was like, if you don't poke the bear if you don't want to get bit.
Yeah, Steven Jackson had good
Steven
words.
Jackson.
I don't know if this is
Oh,
really
yeah.
all people that you want, like
Yeah.
lauding
Yeah.
you.
Like,
Well, it's interesting because Brandon Ingram's mentor, who's from his hometown, is Jerry Stackhouse, and Jerry Stackhouse is famously the actual biggest tough guy in NBA history.
He's a coach at some level, right?
Yeah, he's
G
a
League guy?
Toronto's G League coach. And Jerry Stackhouse like threw down with people in the 90s when people threw down.
Right.
And he would like wait for you outside the bus and beat your ass. I mean, I would say him and Steven Jackson are like number 1 and number 2 of like real dudes.
So I think, the reasons he got so upset is because he's cared and he's mentored by a badass dude.
Yeah.
2, he was guarding James Harden.
So annoying.
Imagine guarding a guy like that.
Right.
He's so annoying. He like does these flop moves. He literally runs into you.
Yeah.
He literally runs into you and gets the call called his way.
Yeah.
And then he like does these dumb antics where he like makes and one gestures, does like the spoon, like stirring the pot gestures.
Yeah.
And like having that thrown in your face, I would get like insanely mad as well.
Totally.
And I think there was also another element. Like I think Brandon Ingram's frustration has been building over the last couple games.
You mean the only couple games?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think he's like knows that this is his year to step up.
Yeah.
This is his 3rd year. He's got to show up. And I think the first game against Portland, he was taken out during the important minutes.
Right. That's true.
And he was pissed about that.
Yeah.
And I think then there was some extra frustration. Lance Stevenson mentioned that the Rockets were targeting Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, they were. They're very physical with him.
They were physical with him and kind of punking
and honestly,
on him.
it kind of worked because he stopped driving.
Yeah,
he was taking a lot of pull-up shots. He did not play well in this game too, which I think is part of it. I think there was building frustration.
Yeah, and I think there were stretches of the game where he was like totally absent. We pointed it out.
Yeah,
and I think that frustration just boiled over.
It's a really good point too because there is a different spotlight on this team. There's a different heat in the lights. For even the first 2 games felt like playoff games. I mean, this felt like Heat Knicks 96, level of intensity. I mean, guys were chomping at the bit. I also think like you can imagine if like you're getting fouled every time down the court by like savvy veterans, and then every time you're just trying to defend people normally, you're getting called for fouls. Like you're probably going to be pissed. Now there's pissed.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And then there's what happened to Ingram. Like he went at a ref. I mean, he was in the ref's face.
Yeah, and
screaming.
That's presumably why he got the largest suspension.
Well, I think no. I mean, I think
the
main thing was no. See, I actually think the reason why he got the biggest thing was because the biggest suspension was because he came back. Like it's one thing to be in the action. It's another thing to be a guy who isn't there that voluntarily runs in to throw a punch. Who literally go gadgets in
dragon
there.
Punch.
Yeah, yoga flame.
I forget who that was back in the Malice at the Palace. I think it was Jermaine O'Neal.
It was Jermaine O'Neal and Steven Jackson.
Right, and Jermaine O'Neal like did the sliding dragon punch to a fan in the first row. Do you guys remember that sequence?
Yeah, that fat guy who looked like Turtle from Entourage.
Decked him
with the
sliding
chin strap.
in like 1 foot in front of his punch. That kind of reminded me of this situation.
Which brings up my question. What are we calling this? There was the Malice at the Palace.
I was literally on Rhyme Zone trying to find something that rhymed with Staples.
Yeah, like the spit at the Staples.
Oh, that's good.
I actually just like Laker hater Sonny and Saliva Gate. Kind of like
that's
that.
Good. Yeah.
Got to throw a little gate on the end of that bad boy.
Yeah, gate is universal. Is that just because Watergate had gate in the name?
I think so, yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah, Watergate was not about water.
That's really stupid. We just decided
that should be Watergate gate.
That any scandal now has to be
gate?
termed a gate.
Yeah, that's really dumb.
Saliva Gate.
I think Saliva Gate's good. We'll workshop it.
By the way, lost in all of this was that a couple minutes before all of this happened, Ennis the Third on the Rockets literally clotheslined Josh
him.
Hart,
Yeah.
which he should have been kicked out.
Totally.
That was a flagrant
Luke made that point that should have been an ejection, and that probably also built to this.
That totally stoked the flames of all of this.
Yeah.
And that's getting lost in all of this.
Yep. It's funny because it's like there is the instinct to just deal with the situation in the present. Here's the actors, here's what happened, but I do think Eric is so right. It's like all of these things brewing. It's like the history of Rondo and Chris Paul. The history of Chris Paul like being an irritant who's, Cliff Paul and State Farm. Like I can imagine if I were a JaVale or a Rondo type or Ron Artest being one of those guys who has a bad reputation. And you're like, Chris Paul is dirtier than us, whinier than us. Like, and meanwhile, he's in commercials. He's cuddly. Everyone loves him. Like, That would really piss me off. And
I don't really hate the Clippers anymore. I know that's a weird thing to say, but now that he's gone, I feel like a lot of
it's fine.
Yeah.
No, they're actually a likable team.
He instantly made Houston the whiniest, most annoying team, too. Like, he is the common denominator. I was saying to Eric, it's like, I almost want to look back on, like, New Orleans Hornets games when he was there and see, like, if they were also annoying. I don't remember it.
He might have been too young to be.
I also feel like I never watched those games because they had a weird team.
I feel like hearing you talk about the whole buildup in history that like leading up to this whole was like someone breaking down like World War One.
Yeah, it's
like
true.
A hardcore
like
history
podcast. Austro-Hungarians.
Like what really the ultimate thing was the defenestration of like Archduke Ferdinand.
And the Turks.
But the underlying thing,
the straw that broke the camel's back.
I do love a good.
I love that guy when he goes again and again. Though congratulations to Chris Paul because I would say that there was like 3 rounds of fighting, which is as far as Chris Paul has ever gotten in anything. Was to the 3rd round. You suck. It was funny. I went to bed last night like really pissed, and then I woke up this morning being like, I love the NBA. This is great, even though it's going to have real ramifications for our team. It's so exciting. We're like 2 days in, and this is like awesome.
This is crazy level stuff. To be an NBA fan, this is just like a Christmas gift.
Could this end up being galvanizing for the Lakers in any way?
I would normally suspect it. My only concern is the LeBron piece. I kind of have talked myself out of that being a big issue, but I do think it was, and I do not blame LeBron. I totally understand that that's his close friend and he's trying to de-escalate it. But it is weird to be, I don't think I've ever seen a guy
to grab the other team.
Well, and like console the guy who just fought with your teammate. I've never really seen before.
There's one thing to like break it up and make sure he's on the other side,
right.
But there was another. It kept going where he had his arm around him and like he was like walking with him.
Yeah, it was like the end of Casablanca.
Yeah, I did not feel that. I got to be honest, I didn't feel that.
Right.
And if anyone is gonna like maybe take offense to that and like hold a grudge, I think Rondo.
Yes,
would.
it's possible.
And I think I am concerned about that like underlying dynamics between Rondo and LeBron after something like that.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll just clear the air. My suspicion is, I think if it like weren't LeBron, if it were, I don't know, Kuzma or something, like it would be a lingering issue. But I feel like LeBron just stature-wise, at least this is what I'm telling myself, because we'll probably never know the answer to this. But I feel like LeBron has the stature and probably knows that he'll talk to Rondo and say like, "Look, man, that's my boy. I didn't really know what had happened."
But LeBron's never been known for his forthright communication with his teammates. He's been known for his passive aggressiveness.
That's true, but
like talking behind people's backs.
Okay, that's fair. But someone who is not passive aggressive, and I think we learned this last night, is Rajon Rondo. So, I mean, if it is an issue that's bubbling below the surface, it's erupting to the surface almost immediately. Yeah. Like, it's not going to be a season-long simmer. Not. It's either going to be an immediate flare-up or it'll go away. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not worried about Rondo keeping it to himself.
I think it'd be better if it just sort of popped up, and then they could address it, and then you could move past it. But I agree with you, Eli. I felt like, the look, Eric, you're right also. The look was not great to have your teammate consoling someone on the other side of a fight, but I do think there was that aspect of like, holy crap, what's happening right now?
Right.
And the LeBron was just like, all right, well, I know this guy. I'm going to grab him, and I'm
right. It all happened
really.
LeBron. It all happened really fast, and he is he is an elder statesman, and I do think that once cooler heads prevail,
he's almost like a ref in that moment.
Yeah, and it's like he's the ambassador to the game. It is his best friend, and I think like maybe that's worth examining why that's his best friend.
Exactly. That's telling in of itself.
It is semi-telling. And like Carmelo is awesome. By the way, Eric and I will eventually work our way back to basketball, but we were legitimately so excited every time Carmelo got the ball and shot. We were going like, Carmelo, like, you got this, man. It's like, this is your spot. This is where you, like, prove it. Like, he was so bad.
He's terrible.
I'm so glad we didn't sign him.
Yeah, that was...
But just finishing up, I mean, like, the fight afterward, I mean, we really wanted the Lakers to win that game.
Yeah.
This is going to take a little bit.
And it was a letdown. But that was my thing about LeBron. Like, I I wish he had just kind of taken over. I guess that's like
it's true.
high things to put on a player.
He didn't have a good game.
He didn't have a good game, and then it just like I thought that it was like a really important finish after something like that, and he just didn't show up.
Yeah. I mean, I think like patience is going to be the word. It just the two games so far have been so intense that it doesn't feel like saying like let's be patient doesn't, because there's been such urgency and energy to these games. It's like it's hard to remember that it's 2 games and it's a team that is just trying to understand who they are. I think back to your thing, Dan, about galvanizing. I don't know really, because I don't know that like energy has not been their issue. In fact, they've played with crazy energy. I do think that like it will, to some extent, just having fewer guys available might bring them together. Like it's just
you don't have to play everybody.
You don't have to play everybody, and you kind of like the rotation is just going to be the rotation. I also think like as far as Ingram is concerned, I think his teammates will have loved this. Like I think no one is surprised that Rondo did this. I think Ingram is probably more people that were pleasantly surprised. This is the kind of thing that goes over really well in a locker room. Like, especially the coming back to jump in. Did you see the reach on that?
Well, we knew
it was crazy.
You want to talk about dinosaurs? That arm, that
Unbelievable.
pterodactyl-like reach.
Like
Unbelievable.
Brontosaurus.
It really looked like Dalsim from Street Fighter 2.
That's a nice reference, by the way. I hope most of our listeners get that.
Oh,
one.
they do. If I know our listeners, which I don't.
Which we actually
we
do
know
know a decent percentage of them,
true.
probably. Shout out to Albert Dayan.
Yeah.
What's up, Albert? All right, so
Wow.
basketball.
Okay. Well. So just suspension wise.
Oh yeah,
this news just
suspension-wise.
broke. So Ingram got 4 games.
Rondo 3.
Rondo 3 and Chris Paul 2. We were kind of Dan and I were talking before. It seems like a little. I'm pleasantly surprised. I guess for NBA standards, it's a lot. A lot of people are kind of referencing that people don't often get suspended more than 1 game for fights. I think because it was so early in the season, it's a good example to make so that people don't just decide to fight all year. My only issue with the suspension, I actually think Ingram correctly got the most because he came back, and the ref thing, and I just think Paul and Rondo should have gotten the same.
Though if we're going with the evidence behind Saliva Gate.
Yeah, but he did stick he did try to curly Three Stooges him in the face.
That was after the spit.
Yeah. But
It was an interesting move.
It was
It's you spit on my face. I'm going to rub my fingers on
I don't know.
eye.
I just hate Chris Paul. I feel like Chris
That's-
Paul should have gotten the lifetime achievement suspension.
Yeah, well,
He is the common denominator behind all this crap. He came back for their first game against the Clippers, and there was a fight
the tunnel
with
fight.
tunnels, and
No, people hate Chris Paul.
yeah.
People hate Chris Paul.
The bottom line is, I really dislike the Rockets.
Yeah.
Bunch of dirty.
Well, don't worry.
whiner floppers.
Cobra Kai. They're
Because
the Cobra
they're
Kai
not
team.
they're not going to win this year, so we don't have to worry about that.
No, their team isn't as good.
They got smoked by the Pelicans in their first game. Just obliterated. They can't play defense anymore. They lost all of their defenders, and they brought in Carmelo, who's a subtraction by addition kind of thing.
They don't look as good.
No. I was not impressed by James Ennis. Other than his clothesline technique was excellent.
Rockets blog people have said that James Ennis is the underrated signing of the offseason. But that's what you have to say when your team loses their 2 best defenders and signs Carmelo Anthony.
Yep. I think, unfortunately, the underrated signing of this summer was Julius Randle away from us to New Orleans.
Yeah, he's
doing well, and we
but
could use him.
That's a good fit for him, though.
It is a
to
good
have
fit.
Mirotic who can spread the
Yeah.
floor.
Oh,
and
he's
Anthony
playing
Davis.
his butt off. All right, should we talk? Should we talk Lakers basketball?
I thought a good way to do it would maybe do a traditional ball in, ball out.
Oh,
look
at that.
Look at this.
Back to our roots.
I love the look that you guys just gave.
That was like a
you were
breath of
delighted.
fresh air.
You were delighted.
We were genuinely delighted by that.
We forgot about them. We forgot about our namesake.
We forgot about our preparation.
Oh, good. Okay, Eric, do you want to go first?
Yeah,
Since
go
it's
ahead.
Your
I have
call?
to think about this now.
There's a few. Maybe we'll have a few rounds, but I'll go. The first one off the top of my head is JaVale.
Yes.
Ball in.
I have ball in for JaVale. I've loved watching this guy.
He's great.
He's just been the anchor on our defense. A ton of like rebounds, deflections, and block shots. And then on offense, he just like does all the right things. He's been the perfect piece of what we need him to be.
Yep.
And
we just need to clone him.
I wish we had two of him.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think he's just been he's had a perfect start for us. Ball in to JaVale.
I think that's a great choice.
Yeah. I will golf clap that ball in. That was excellent.
I'm going to piggyback off of that. I'm going to go in kind of a weird direction, but I think the through line is that, this is another statement I never thought I'd say, but like this JaVale start is kind of inspiring to me because like this is a guy who's been ridiculed for most, if not all, of his career as kind of a
goof.
A goof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. And I do think there's something really cool about, I think he was good on Golden State and he was a key contributor in championship teams. And now he's like a real viable member of a team that's getting a lot of attention. He's playing really hard. He's playing really well.
He looks locked in.
He's
a veteran.
He's a
weird.
veteran.
He's like an NBA vet now.
And I just think that it's a cool representation of resilience and perseverance and just like sticking with it and evolving and finding your lane.
He was awesome. He blocked 5 shots yesterday.
He was great. And so my ball in.
But by the way, before you get to your ball in, I think he's also galvanized by the guy who holds up the posters for everyone.
Yeah, that's right.
He's coming in hot with McDunks.
McDunks.
Every time JaVale McGee.
Oh my God.
That guy is the opposite. That guy is the opposite of what I'm talking about. That guy is not persevering. Well, I guess he is. He looks like a chump, and he shows up every game anyway with those signs.
You get attention for being that bad at something too.
Yes, that's what he's after.
Yeah.
Him and Marlins man. So what I was saying is,
your ball in.
well, yeah. So I'm going off.
Eric's like, come on, give me your damn.
Well,
ball.
I had momentum until Eric brought up the sign guy. The perseverance of JaVale McGee reminds me of the perseverance of Lonzo Ball last night, because this is also someone who's faced a lot of ridicule early in his career, and I think got in game 1, everyone's paying attention to his shot, and he airballs it by a good 1.5 feet. And, the Portland crowd kind of jeers him, rightly so. It's what I would have done if she was on the other foot. And then he came back the next game, and he played his usual good brand of basketball, and he shot confidently, and he went 4 from 8 for 3, and he looked good, and he wanted the ball. He didn't avoid the big moment, and I just think that as someone who's, I think Eric and I talked about it last night during the game, that we're nervous about him. We're nervous for him. That this is just going to get in his head, that maybe he doesn't have the it factor that we kind of hoped he did.
And his first 2 shots this game were air balls. He either airballed or swished.
Yeah,
he was 4 for 8. 4 of them were
He's
swishes.
never been long.
4 of them were air balls.
Yeah. But I just thought it showed me something about him. And look, I don't think he's going to go 50% from 3 over the season, but it showed me that he does have that resiliency, that he does have confidence in his abilities, and that he's able to bounce back from the kind of negative spotlight he's had.
He also had one drive where then he alley-ooped it to JaVale.
Yeah,
and
it was glorious.
Put some sauce on that too.
And then the Rockets called a timeout as they're running back. JaVale and Lance were like really building him up, like showing him a lot of love for the alley-oop.
Right, I thought he was like mad at them. That Lance was mad at him, but yeah, they were pumping him up.
Yeah, Lonzo was really stoic after that alley-oop.
He's stoic all the time.
I know, but come on, that's your moment. You knew the other team was going to take a timeout. You were on a run, point at JaVale or get up, and he was just like walking back to the other end of the court.
It's just not who he is.
Yeah, I actually love that about Lonzo. I'm 100% with you on a ball in. I think he's going to be. Everybody's talking about Brandon Ingram, and I'm still on Team Lonzo. I mean, I like Brandon Ingram too, but I think Lonzo is going to be actually the best of all of them. He's so fast with his
He's very fast
with his movements.
Yeah.
Like there's something about watching him play where, and it's that LeBron type thing, and obviously he's never going to be a 6'9", 260-pound freight train.
Right.
But just things happen quicker for certain guys on the court. And
Yeah.
Lonzo is that guy. If he can start to finish,
yeah,
then he's the man.
Eli made a point. He's still going a little east-west and not north-south.
Yeah.
And that's concerning. And
that's something he still needs to be more aggressive. Like I'm glad he didn't take himself. Yeah, I'm glad he didn't get in his head about looking dumb, because basketball players, especially in the social media age, like even more than winning, I think they want to not be embarrassed. They want to not look stupid because it'll live on social media, and that's like definitely part of the ecosystem. So I'm just glad that he brushed that aside. Also, one final thought on this is I thought it was interesting that they kept putting Josh Hart on James Harden at the end of the game.
By the way, that's my layup of a ball in. So we'll be talking about Josh Hart momentarily.
But I actually think what's interesting, and Eric and I talked about it in the moment, is that Josh Hart actually wasn't fast enough, wasn't quick enough.
Harden went right around him.
He went right around him. Josh Hart is a very good defender, but he's not a good defender against quick guys. He's actually, his skill is that he's strong, so that he can kind of body people up. He can guard up. He can guard above his weight class. The guy that actually should have and did by far the best job of guarding Harden was Lonzo.
Mm-hmm.
Lonzo is long and he's quick.
I think our two best defenders are Lonzo and Ingram.
Yeah.
At least individually.
If Ingram
Probably,
can realize it,
defenders.
Yeah. So Josh Hart was
Yeah.
my layup of a ball in
Yeah.
because he's rendered Contavious Caldwell-Pope
I know.
a statue.
When will Luke realize that? Is it just the money?
I don't think it's going to take long. I mean, he got 12 more minutes than KCP yesterday. It's happening in 2 games. Josh Hart is the future at that position for the Lakers, and Rich Paul's been sufficiently slurped to this point.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything like super in-depth on Josh Hart. I just thought he's played 2 really solid games, and he's going to be there all year.
Yep.
Do you think he was trying to do a little too much at times? There were a few drives and fast breaks where he was like going 1-on-3.
I'm okay with that. I prefer mistakes of aggression like that.
Yes, I do too.
And coming off his summer league, he wants to sort of like continue this prove it tour.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's proven.
Yeah.
We're all buying it, Josh. So just like settle in, give it some time, and
I think both of you guys are right in the sense that, first of all, the first game he kept us in the game. I mean, he was the reason why we were in against Portland.
He was awesome.
He was amazing, and he hit all the right notes. And I think, like, to Eric's point a little bit, I think now it's just like, and one thing I like about him generally, but last night I think was a little bit different, is like he usually plays within himself, which is what's so great about him. It's like he does all the right things. He's in the right spots. He goes at the right time. He defers at the right time. And last night I think he was feeling it a little bit, like he forced a couple things, but once again we're kind of splitting hairs at a certain point. Like he's what was he, the 30th pick in the first round?
Like
I think he was 30. He's been a revelation.
So his ball in actually segues to my first ball out, because I think Josh Hart's start to this season reminds me of Kuzma's start to last season.
Yeah, I thought
where
this
it was
was where
like
you were going.
where it was really like decisive, and like every time he gets the ball, he like makes a decision and goes with it,
and
he's
shoots
aggressive
at the end of that decision.
Yeah, but Kuzma's look lost.
Yeah.
And I think part of this is that we're not putting him in a position to succeed. He's like being asked to guard the 5 position. For all his like comments that he's really wanting to focus on defense, they were picking on him last night.
I know. It was bad.
They were forcing the switch so that it would be Chris Paul on Kuzma, and every time he got burnt.
Eric, I'm going to piggyback off yours again, because I think that the mistake, and I think we can all admit it was a mistake in the preseason, it's a mistake now, is this Kuzma at the 5 experiment. It just doesn't work. He doesn't understand that. I'm not like Tex Winter here, RIP, but I don't understand the exact nuances of like NBA defensive schemes, but the 5 is much harder than the 4, apparently. It's a different job. You're like the captain of the ship. You need to understand everyone else's position, whereas
you're like a linebacker telling everyone where to go.
Exactly, and the reality is at this point in the NBA, the 1 through 4 spots are basically the same. You're switching everything. And you're just a Swiss Army knife. So I think he just doesn't. It's unfair to ask him to do this, and I think his offensive game has suffered as a consequence. He's thinking too much. As Eric said, it's like the beauty of his game is that he didn't think. Okay, anyway, so
How long before it's LeBron at the 5?
Well,
for non-JaVale moments.
Well, they did play him. They played LeBron and the kids, and I kind of liked that. And him and Kuzma kind of switched off 4-5. But to me, my ball out, because Kuzma cannot play the 5, is Mo Wagner's knee. Is my ball out, because
I was going to ask what his timeline was. Do we know?
Well, apparently I'm looking. He just got back to full contact 5-on-5.
Oh, that's
practice.
Good. That's good. That means
as
he's probably
of yesterday,
like a week away,
or as of Friday. So once again, like I started this season saying, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we really need JaVale McGee. We really need Mo Wagner, and we need him to be good.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get 15 meaningful minutes.
He has to. I mean, he's going to have to get 10 to 12. He has to. We have this unit is getting picked apart.
And
I think he's going to be even more lost on defense than anyone.
He might be, but...
Well, you know who didn't play a single moment in this last game was Ivica Zubac.
Right, and he can't. I mean, he can't.
No,
he can't play. He's not an NBA player, as Eric has attested. I honestly think, and look, it brings me no joy saying this, but I think like we need another big body, and he can shoot, and he's big, and we don't really have that many choices. It's like Michael Beasley, who is, I can say for a fact, as going to that game, is not big. He is like undersized, Michael Beasley.
Yeah, he's not a big, powerful guy.
No,
he's got some height, but he's not.
He's like a 3. He's not a 5.
Maybe a
4, but
not
he's
a 5.
closer to a 3. And unless Brandon Ingram gains 70 pounds of muscle in this 4-game suspension, I just think they're going to need him, or they're going to need to make a move.
We're getting killed on the boards.
Killed.
We're getting crushed.
You know who we could use? Brooke Lopez's gigantic body.
But he couldn't get a rebound either.
No, but he boxed out.
We
half
need
the
Randall.
other
I
team.
think even better would be Rolo. Robin Lopez would be even better.
I'd be
We
okay
talked
with
about that. Well, and
maybe they're sitting on that. He's probably going to get bought out at some point this year, right?
someone's
going to
get. I mean, I do think that we're going to wait for a buyout candidate. I also do think, look, God bless them. They did a great job. They landed LeBron James. They've made great draft choices, but we've all been saying everyone was right. Everyone was right that this team was missing 2 things. We're missing 3-point shooters, and we're missing another center. And lo and behold, you're watching the season. We're super fun. I like our team. We're missing a backup center, and we're missing 3-point shooters.
Yeah.
Dan, your ball out.
My ball out. Well, I actually do have another ball in slightly, but I have to go ball out first. So, I mean, I'm going to take the layup on this side because I'm going last. I'm the anchor man, and it's KCP.
Yeah,
there
I
you
knew
go.
it.
He's
There
a
you go.
disaster. What happened to this man? It's almost like he needs to be hanging out in an LA prison to be focused on his game. He's
to get the ankle bracelet back.
He's chilling and he's doing nothing. What the hell's happening out there?
I don't even know. But was he even that good last year? I mean,
well,
his
he
thing
had
is,
a couple of streaky games at the end.
I thought he was decent last year.
His
I thought he
thing
was
is
a
that
reasonable NBA player.
his thing's that he's like a 3-point shooter, but career-wise, he's 38%.
That's the
he's
thing.
Not even that good of a 3-point shooter.
No, but I thought he
on
could get
the
some
percentage.
steals,
But
maybe some rebounds.
That's the thing. His advertisement was that he was a 3-and-D wing. His
he's
3 ain't that good, and his D ain't that
No,
good.
he's like a 2.5 and a C.
He's a 3-and-D guy in that he's the 3rd best 3-point shooter and the 3rd best wing defender we have.
Yeah, he's again I don't know. I'm picking these guys where there's not a whole lot of breakdown involved, but I don't know. I mean, he's going to lose his mind if he's only playing 18 minutes a game. But as long as he plays this poorly, you can't give him more than that.
He's also dead ass last on the Laker fans' power rankings of players they like.
And
Because,
who
by
we
the way,
care
Rondo,
about.
Rondo just went to the top of the charts.
Oh, yeah.
Rondo.
He's
Love
looked great
Rondo.
these first 2
Dude,
games too.
and people
beyond
are-
the punching and the spitting.
People are rallying. Yeah, he was going to be under ball-in consideration.
He almost had a triple-double before he
And
spat.
by the way,
Chris
he's
Paul's
still
face.
under ball-in consideration for punching Chris Paul in the face, at the very least.
I think if we had almost NBA player on this podcast, he would be their ball in. For punching
for
Chris Paul
sure,
in the face.
for sure, for sure.
We are not condoning violence, children,
I am
unless it's to Chris
against
Paul.
Chris Paul. Yeah, I mean, not real violence, but
a slap to the face.
Does
Yeah.
the new video evidence that this is a legit effortful spit Like, is that going to change people's mind rallying around
People's
him?
minds or my mind?
No, the people who are like chanting Rondo after the game.
Not Laker fans.
No, not
The
Laker
spit
fans.
is
Not
not
Laker
going to change
fans.
their mind.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Laker fans, hats off to the Lakers fans outside of Staples who harassed not one but two of the ESPN countdown people who were outside. They chanted 81 at Jalen Rose because he famously guarded Kobe Bryant when Kobe Bryant scored 81 points for Toronto, and chanted wheelchair at Paul Pierce, who famously faked an injury and got driven off in a wheelchair.
Well, Paul Pierce is still a butthead in my estimation.
Oh, I hate Paul Pierce.
I have no beef with Jalen Rose. I actually kind of like Jalen Rose.
No, but I thought it was funny.
that is pretty funny.
Yeah, kudos. Hats off to them.
Good heckling. That's
Yeah.
like prep
That's
heckling.
A+. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like Wikipedia heckling.
And pregame, there was like an animal rights organization that was protesting behind them.
Really?
What the hell
Yeah.
were they protesting at a basketball
Huge
game?
Laker fans, guys.
PETA?
PETA's huge into the Lakers sport. Yeah.
Good. Well, happy to have him.
Don't they make balls out of synthetic rubber now? It's not like
Yeah.
it's not animal.
Also, didn't they
right?
see Magic Johnson wear that giant fur coat to the game that one time?
Oh, maybe that's what they were protesting.
Yeah. It's
That could have been it.
35 years later.
Can I give a very tiny ball in?
You can do whatever you want.
Since I have ripped this poor son of a bee a new one for the last 3 months, Lance Stevenson was okay in Game 2.
I love Lance.
He
You
was
know him.
awful in Game 1 in Portland. I mean, he was atrocious. Everything that went wrong in that game, I put on Lance Stevenson because it was like the weird hesitation moves where he would
In for
dribble
it.
in and
I'm
dribble
here
out,
for it.
then forward, then back, and his head would go left and his body would go right, and then he'd take a contested two. But this one, actually, the second game against Houston, he was much better. He moved the ball. It wasn't sticking. He defended, which is not something he's known for. He played peacemaker, which was weird and confusing and made me kind of like chuckle and smile. So I'm giving Lance Stevenson a brief reprieve from my vicious attacks with a half ball in. You get a half
a ball.
I support this. I'll give him the other half to make it a whole ball. Because even if it's not like quality
Eric.
basketball ball in, it's an entertainment value ball in.
Yeah.
There was one play. Someone
He's
sent
so
me
fun.
a video. I think Laker hater Sonny sent me a video where he shot a 3 this last game. Did a 360 toward the bench, like in celebration, like knowing that he was going to make it, and it barely grazed the rim. It was like almost an
Fantastic.
air ball, but he was like, he turned around to celebrate to the bench.
I love him. I want to borrow that.
That's the Al Bundy move.
That's
Do
true.
you remember the Al Bundy
Yeah.
bowling sequence
Yeah.
where he'd release the ball, turn around, and yell, Steve Reich, before it ever hit the pins? That was a fantastic episode.
Nick Young also famously did that.
That is true. Nick
He
did
shot
that
the ball, turned around, went like this,
It's
and it
fantastic.
clanked.
Anything that's an Al Bundy move gets a half ball in. from
Which
me.
is symbolic of our 3-point shooting.
Ugh.
25%. We started the year, the first game, 0 for 14 or 15.
Yeah, that was not great.
It's not good.
Lonzo really needs to,
I know he is our best 3-point shooter.
yeah.
Certainly
Yikes.
percentage-wise. I mean, okay, so that's a good segue to something I wanted to ask. So Ingram's out for 4 games. Rondo's out for 3. So someone's got to fill those minutes. Obviously, Lonzo's going to start. Who takes the other starting spot? And then who fills out the rotation? Because I know I personally would like to see a little Svi. Maybe just mix him in. He's at least someone who you'd have to guard out in the 3-point line.
Dare I suggest we thaw out KCP for a couple of minutes?
Well, we're going to have to. I mean, we're going to have to.
Dude's on ice. And then you're going to see a lot of LeBron as ball handler, too.
Yes.
I'd like to see Kuzma start and have him play his natural position.
Yeah.
Instead
He'll
of
play the
Brandon
Ingram spot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
hopefully he'd play a little better that way.
Okay, so are we all in agreement that the revamped suspension-filled starting lineup will be LeBron, Kuzma, McGee? Well, I guess this is the question. Lonzo and hopefully Josh Hart, but probably KCP.
Yeah, probably.
And then
Has to be.
Okay, so then Lance, Hart,
Lance.
and then who else? Who else do you bring off the bench? Who else has
Svi,
been in
I
the
guess.
rotation?
Svi,
I
not really.
guess Beasley's going to get some minutes.
Oh,
See,
yeah. He'll play.
I'd rather see Svi than Beasley.
It'll be Beasley, though, especially against San Antonio, a slow, plodding
Yeah,
team.
it's true.
And he's a playmaker.
This
Yeah,
could
I mean,
be an ugly game.
I don't dislike Beasley. I just I feel like we need someone because even LeBron, you can tell he's been playing really well out of the post, but the lane is pretty clogged. because people are really not respecting our 3-point shooting, nor should they.
Well, the only offense we have is in our obscene all fast break offense.
Which is awesome, by the way. I don't want to take away from the fact that this team has been incredibly fun to watch.
Super fun.
The first 3 minutes of the first game were the most fun 3 minutes I've had watching basketball in like 10 years.
Yeah. Holy crap.
And we are not lacking in effort.
No, our energy is great.
We are lacking in execution.
Our defense sucks.
Yes, Dan, speak to that a little bit more. We're lacking in execution. I think that's right on.
Well, half court. When the game gets into a half court, things fall apart. But that was to be expected when you have. I almost would like. Things fall apart. Okonkwo, right?
Okonkwo.
Yeah. I almost feel like the Lakers should have a game where they just play in the half court for 48 minutes just to figure it out.
Just like a science experiment?
Just like a science experiment. Because right now, great, they can keep themselves in it for 42 minutes, but it's going to slow down and they're going to lose the last 6 minutes. They're terrible. And they're only going to get better by running them a crap load of times with a bunch of guys that have never played together.
That's an interesting point, Dan. There's just not a lot of movement. There's not a lot of screening.
Well, there's cutting, but no one can shoot. That's the thing is when you get open, you need your defender to come with you because they're nervous you're going to shoot. And if everyone's just sagging off, you can't screen them. They're not going to respect your cut. Like it doesn't work if no one's scared of the thing that you're pretending to do.
You just got to keep shooting it.
Right.
You have to.
They have to. They have to shoot
until you just have to shoot until it starts to go in.
Yeah.
This Spurs game might actually be 48 minutes of half court because that's the San Antonio way.
We always play well against them, though.
Crushed them last year.
We always play well against the Spurs. We did in the Tim Duncan era, too.
Do you know what's great? Julius Randle last year.
We're playing them like 4 times in the first 20 games, which is
We
great.
are?
Yeah.
We're playing Portland, too, I think, 3 times in the first 15 games or something.
I think it's good they don't have DeJounte Murray now.
Yeah.
That will be helpful.
I think we need these games against them, and we need to win.
We're so much more athletic than them. So much more athletic.
That is true. I'm just worried that we might see a lot of LeBron in one of these games where he's just like, I got to put a W on the board.
We need to.
I know. I mean, and that's fine. I actually don't care if the Lakers lose a whole bunch of games right out of the chute while they figure it out. But I think for morale, he's probably going to realize you got to put one in the win column.
Just to get the narrative to shift.
But LeBron doesn't look like he's concerned even the tiniest bit.
No, he's certainly, from everything he's saying, he's not concerned. And I do think that it is important to keep in mind, this team is brand new and they're incorporating the best player in the world into this team of kind of mismatched parts, but we'll see. And also, we lost to Portland at home, which we always lose to Portland at home. They're a really good home team and they're a good team.
In Portland's home.
That's what I mean. Sorry, yes. At Portland, we lost to Portland at Portland.
The Rose Moda Garden Center.
Yeah, the Rose Moda Garden Center, of course, rolls off the tongue. And then we lost to a team that won 65 games last year, has the reigning MVP, and a douchebag who's also a very good player in Chris Paul. And we barely lost.
As a counterpoint, though, I watched pretty much all of the Jazz Warriors game.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Those teams look so good.
They look so good.
They shoot lights out. Oh my God, they're
I
so
know.
good. And we
do not look like that.
We look nothing like those 2 top echelon teams.
No, but we'll look a lot better when Anthony Davis or Chris Middleton or both are Lakers.
Right. And to be fair, the Jazz team has been together for a long time. The Warriors team has been together for a really long time. This Rockets team has had a year to incorporate Chris Paul, but philosophically they've been doing the same thing.
It's been a James Harden-centric team. Yeah.
And
I have an interesting stat on the Jazz, by the way. This is the first time the Utah Jazz have had the same starting 5 2 consecutive years in like 30 seasons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's weird, right? That just doesn't happen in the NBA. So
they
really are a very consistent outfit.
Right.
But we got 80 games left to figure it out.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about Luke from either of you guys?
I mean, and this was true last year too. You can't say that they don't play hard. This team has always played hard. They played hard every game last year. We were in every game last year. The one thing I would like to see, and I find somewhat confusing because he came from Golden State, where their offensive sets are really beautiful and interesting to watch. Once again, they have 2 of the best shooters of all time on their team. But our offensive sets just don't look that. They look predictable. They look they were better actually in this game than in the Portland game. But I I'm not sure that the imagination is there.
And I don't know that it can be there without spacing.
That might be the rub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might just be a personnel issue.
But luckily, we have 42 minutes of dunking before things fall apart.
That's true. I mean, this
Okonkwo.
season is going to be... Yeah, that's right.
Sorry. I'm going to try to stop saying things fall apart. We all took the same 8th grade history class together,
That's
by
right.
the way. So that should we go back a few years? Crusty old farts, though we may be.
Yeah. I mean, this season's going to be fun. It's going to be fun and weird because we the funnest, weirdest start possible. It'd just be nice if they were wins because we could have won both of those games.
What a weird schedule to start the year. I don't think I really took as hard a look at this as I should have.
Who do we have next? The Spurs and the
And
Suns?
then we have the Suns on the
Thank
road.
God.
Yes.
We're going to celebrate that one, but those games are hard after really good teams.
And they play well against us.
Yeah, and then we've got the Nuggets at home, back to San Antonio, or Spurs in San Antonio. The Wolves, which could actually be the easiest game of this stretch if Jimmy Butler sits it out. And then the Mavericks, the Blazers, the Raptors, the Wolves again, the Kings, Hawks. Okay, there's like a
There we
two-game
go.
stretch
There's the
for-
respite.
Yeah, Blazers, but then Magic, Heat, Cavs. So there's like a 5 and 6 there.
But
Where
these first 10 are tough.
real tough.
They're tough.
I'm slightly, and once again, it's 2 games, but I'm slightly worried about the fact that New Orleans has looked awesome. Portland has looked awesome. Like the fringy playoff teams have all looked really good. Like I don't think we thought we were going to anyway, but we're not going to backslide into the playoffs. This is not going to be a 47, 46 win. Well, maybe it'll be 47, but
It might, just
it's
because
gonna
of
be
some of these weirdo teams.
right. But it doesn't look like, at least now, it doesn't look like the obvious like, oh, that team's just no good now.
Yeah, it's true.
Because San Antonio looks okay. I mean, like
I think Minnesota's going to be garbage when they trade Butler away.
yeah,
So I think they
might
a
be the
nice,
slider.
Yeah, they're a
Yeah,
slider.
yeah.
The Clippers are probably not going to be as close as they were last year. Not that they made it.
Yeah.
But they were only at, 3 games out, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, but the
We'll
Nuggets
see.
also missed it. So one of those spots is probably going to Denver.
right.
So you need somebody else to fall out. Might as well beat the Spurs a couple times next week.
That would
huh?
be nice. That'd be a good start, and we definitely can.
I'd like to go 5 and 5 these first 10.
I would also like that.
I know you said, I mean, I don't really care all that much if we lose a bunch of games right off the bat, but I hate like the media overblowing it
Yeah.
and like all of like the 5 like the red alarms about it. That's just so annoying.
Well, maybe that will be another weird side bonus, silver lining of the suspension thing is.
we'd have an excuse.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does shift the narrative a little bit as like not what a disappointing start, but like what a wild start, and like, look, they're down 2 key members and whatever. I also don't think we're going to lose. I think we're going to win this next game. Is my
I haven't
prediction.
been that disappointed either.
No, I have not either.
I think we all knew the half-court stuff was
Were
going to
we
be
favored
tough.
in either of those games? Do you know?
No.
Right.
Definitely
so,
not.
I mean,
Portland,
not that
we were somehow only 3-point underdogs in Portland because everybody was betting their life savings on the Lakers on Game 1.
Right.
That was a foolish move.
Yeah.
We
Public
never
money.
Had,
We
never
always
had a
have the
shot.
dumb money.
We haven't beaten Portland in like 6 years. Like,
Right.
why would?
yeah.
It's not going to change on opening night with a whole new team.
Or their first game in Portland since like the early 2000s or like 1999.
Yeah.
There's a crazy stat.
Yeah, we have no love up there. Houston was a 4-point favorite in LA, which sounds really low, but there's like about a 3-point home court thing.
Right.
So they're like an 8-point, roughly 7-8 point neutral site favorite. Houston was probably also being slightly underrated because of LeBron. You could probably make a lot of money, and I hate to say this on a Lakers podcast, by fading the Lakers until they start to figure it out. Yeah. It's probably going to be about a month.
Right.
where you
Public
could
dumb
just-
money is coming in on them.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am part of that public dumb money. But season long.
Season long, I think you could end up being okay.
Yeah.
I think the number's going to be fairly accurate. Maybe a hair under, just because how hard it is to dig out of a big hole early.
Yeah.
But the Lakers seem, I mean, you could see the same thing last year, where they just got really good partway
Right.
through the season. They started to figure things out.
Right. And like once again, another
We couldn't
way,
shoot last year
I was
either.
gonna- and another way to look at this is we barely lost 2 games and we cannot make a 3-point shot at all. We have barely lost. Like if we were a average to below average 3-point shooting team, we would have won both of those games. If we shot 34% we win those games.
Yeah, probably.
Like, they just have
At
to
least
be
one of
not
them.
abysmal. The problem is we might just be abysmal.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the
people
rub.
People are going to be more open as they figure out how to run these sets. I am remaining very calm.
Freeze
at
V.
present.
Dan,
Freeze V.
I feel like this is free therapy for me. I really like the cadence of your voice. The way you're really reassuring me right now.
I'm going to drop it down.
I like we're having like a soothing voice podcast.
Oh yeah, soothing
Yeah,
voice
yeah.
podcast.
NPR.
We're going to finish this out.
No, but
NPR
I
style.
think you have provided some nice counterpoints of like why this is fine.
I mean,
we're totally fine.
The Heatles went 5-5 their first
Yeah,
10,
this
right?
happened. Yeah, all
And they were way better than
all LeBron teams when he first gets there, it's an adjustment period.
They had two Hall of Famers on that team and Chris Bosh, but they were like.
You don't think Chris Bosh
legitimately
is
good.
going to make the Hall of Fame?
I don't think he played long enough.
I think he will.
You think so?
Well, the basketball
like a
Hall of Fame
medical
is
wing?
not that hard to get into.
Oh, maybe then.
He won 3 rings. He was a key member of 3 rings, right? 3?
2?
2?
2?
How many did he win?
the Heat won 2.
2?
2.
2 rings.
look up his
He's
stats
oddly has huge stats because he scored a ton in Toronto.
How long did he play? Was it like a decade?
Like 12, maybe 11.
I feel a little bit bad for the guy. He had to retire
He was in the same
early.
draft as LeBron, so LeBron is in his 16th year, so probably 12 or 12.
Yeah, all right. He's had a pretty good career.
Yeah, I think
A
he'll
little
make it.
longer than I. 17,000 points, 7,500 rebounds. Yeah, that's a maybe. All right,
think
so
he'll make
maybe
it.
3 Hall of Famers,
Yeah.
and they went 5-5.
Can we just get Chris Bosh? Let's just get him on the team.
I was
all
thinking
of
about
his,
that.
all of his pulmonary
He's been
emboli.
around. I think they are legit concerned he might die on the court.
Flying, I think, is one of the issues, right? He has to be on blood thinners.
Oh yeah, so just home games, like
So-
Phil Jackson style.
He could stop the blood thinners, play in home games.
Let him sit on the throne.
There you go.
He would be perfect.
It'd be awesome if Chris Bosh was just there.
2013 Chris Bosh would be perfect for this team.
If he comes out of the tunnel,
Yeah.
it'd be amazing. It'd be
Also, we'll have so many players who look like velociraptors.
oh yeah, we're loaded up on dinos. Yeah, that's all I got on this one.
Yeah.
He's
mean, what
he's
is-
not. By the way, he's not coming back.
No.
No.
Well,
This is
someone
like
would
a
have,
jet.
someone would have taken him. He's been trying to come back
Every
for
year, a
years.
story drops in January that Chris Bosh is trying to
Yeah,
make
he's
a
trying to make a
comeback, and
comeback.
every year his doctor's like, "Please stop, Chris."
Who's the other most like dino looking? I guess Leandro Barbosa comes to mind as a real dino looking player.
Brazilian?
Yeah, the Brazilian
We
dino.
could use his 3-point shooting.
I mean, Chris
circa,
Bosh.
like,
Chris Bosh
2010.
is like so far out in front of everybody else for dino face.
Yeah, he's big time dino.
There's Bosh, and then there's whoever way down the list.
Hey Dan, this is I need
Rondo.
your help with this because this is the kind of guy that fantasy people know, but I've never watched Orlando Magic games.
Is it Jonathan Isaac?
No, does he look like a dino?
Oh, I don't know. Who's on the Magic?
Okay, so I've had 2 different friends of mine who are not Lakers fans, and we've been talking about this team, and they've both separately of each other suggested Nick Vucevic. Is that
Yeah, you went to USC.
Vucevic? Right,
Yeah.
he's the guy on Orlando.
Yeah.
They've both been like, "Oh, you should trade for Vucevic," because apparently he's on the trading block. Now, my counter to that was the Lakers are completely phobic about taking back salary. But I was wondering if you had a thought. Like, I don't know why everyone has suggested that,
So
but
I
I've heard
believe he's
multiple
on an
people
expiring
suggest
deal.
that. Is he?
I think he's on an expiring deal, and if it's not, it's really team friendly. He was on a 4-year, $48 million contract, but I can't remember if they signed him 2 or 3 years ago. He's very good. He's a rebounder. He can pass. He can shoot a little bit. He'd be a wonderful center to have, actually, as like a future piece if the Lakers don't fall into Anthony Davis.
Well, apparently everyone is discussing randomly us getting Vucevic.
I'd love it. I'd be all for it. I don't know who you send back. Probably one of the weirdos we just signed this offseason and picks.
Oh yeah, he's going to be a free agent in 2019.
So he is on an expiring deal. Orlando's going to want a lot of picks because it's a really good contract. So the team that takes him on is not going to have to worry about anything, expiring deal, all that
But
stuff.
we have expiring deals.
We do, the entire team.
So couldn't you just put a draft pick in an expiring, a matching expiring?
Are we okay with parting with a future first? I guess we should hopefully be good enough.
We should, yeah. If
where-
it's like a 25th.
I would do it.
All right. Well, I'm just
But do we
randomly.
care enough? I mean, this team's not going to win a championship
Yeah.
this year.
That's
I
the
care.
thing.
I mean, I care if it's expiring. If you're not taking on money, long-term money, I would do it. We need a center.
You'd have to do it early then, not trade deadline.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like, do it for the whole year so the team can just be better. And
because also they have a
log
jam. They have a front court log jam.
Yeah,
completely.
they want to play Bamba.
They want to play Bamba, Isaac, and Gordon.
Yeah.
Which is what they should play.
And Vooch is better than all of those guys, so
right
they
now.
have to play him.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, like, I don't care enough about winning this year.
I'm going to go on the trade machine.
when the Kawhi didn't come to the Lakers in the trade, my hope for winning this season was kind of like, to me, you're balancing at that point. How much do you want to win versus how much do you care about your future pick? And I guess that'll about do it. So wrap it up on this thing. This is Ball In, Ball Out, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Fight Night edition for Dr. Eric Noble, the Fight Doctor, and Eli Bauman. I'm Dan Vespers. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.